გავრცელების შემოგვესწრებიან, ასე ვთქვათ, და მანამდე გაგაცნობთ ჩვენს არაჩვეულებრივი და ძალიან მნიშვნელოვანი ფიგურა ჩვენი მიმართულებით ჩვენს არეში ბატონი ჰაჯი მანამდე წარმოგვიდგენთ ქალბატონ არქელას ქალბატონი არ ვიცი ხა რამდენად ბატონი რომელმაც ამ შემთხვევაში გამიწია ჩვენ კომპანიონობა და მისი დახმარებით გვექნება საინტერესო ლექცია და რაც მე ჩვენ ვფიქრობთ რომ თქვენ აუცილებლად მოგეწონებათ კითხვების შემთხვევაში ყოველთვის შეგიძლიათ მიმართოთ ბატონ ჰაჯის მოგბართოთ ჩვენს ქალბატონად გახლავთ იერი კომპანია იერის დირექტორი და სამომავლოდე ჩვენ ვეგმართ მათთან ერთად საინტერესო პროექტებს ეს იქნება საგანმანათლებლო შემოქმედებით და დიდი სული იქვეყნება თქვენი ასევე იმ პროექტების აქტიურობით. ბატონ ჰაჯი თავად წარმოგიდგენთ თავს და
We start earlier.
I think we can start earlier because all the students were able to be here at 11.
წარმატებით ვისურვებ, მე ახლა ვარ თუ რაღაცა იქნება კითხვები შეგიძლიათ რომ მომართოთ. მე ახლა ყოველ შემთხვევაში
კი, შეიძლება ძალიან დიდი მადლობა მომდევნებისთვის. აბსოლუტურად მართალია ძალიან სურს მოსვლა დღეს მოვიდა და სულ გავცნობ, ვინც ეს დაესწრო ამ ლექციას. ბატონი მეჰდი მაჯიდი არის ჩამოსული პარიზიდან, პროფესორია ამერიკულ უნივერსიტეტის პარიზში და მუდამ sustainability, რასაც არ არის ჯერ ქართულად ალბათ სასწავლება. ძალიან ბევრი იცი, ძალიან დიდი ექსპერტი და 25 წელზე მეტი მუშაობს ამ სფეროში და ასწავლის ასევე ძალიან ბევრი კომპანიასთან მქონდა ურთიერთობა და პროფესიონალური პროექტები. PricewaterhouseCoopersი, ამერიკული საერთაშორისო სამინისტროთან ძალიან ბევრი მუშაობდა როგორც კონსულტანტი, ასევე World Bank და ასე შემდეგ. ძალიან მიხარია რომ დღეს აქ არის აკადემიაში და აქვს საშუალება რომ შევხვდეს სტუდენტებს. იმედია ეს ლექცია თქვენთვისაც საინტერესო იქნება. რამე კითხვები თუ გექნებათ? მეც ახლა. დიდი მადლობა.
დიდი მადლობა.
Thank you.
ასევე ლექცია ჩატარდება ინგლისურ ენაზე, რამე თუ ვერ გაიგეთ რამე კითხვა თუ გექნებათ, თხოვთ შემოგვიდგინეთ და შევეცდებ რომ გადავხმოთ.
Good morning. Let me start by apologizing for not speaking your language. I'm coming to your country and I don't speak your language, so I'm terribly sorry for that. Hopefully with the help we can get the message across. Now, when you look at my career, there is an odd concept that why after working many years for big corporations, for the World Bank, for United Nations, I'm interested or focusing on fashion. It is kind of odd at this stage to come back and look at fashion. There are many reasons for that. In the last 10 years, I have been focusing on sustainability, which is all the environmental issues, CO2 emissions, gender issues, inequality. You are probably familiar that United Nations in 2007 announced strategic goals to unify people around the world, not only one country, but governments sign up to respect these goals and try to achieve them. So what is good about it? For the first time, we have common goals that are taking care of humanity. It is not about my country, your country, her country, or his country. It crosses the national boundaries, and it also initiates organic, grassroots solutions. The fact that you and me, that we never met, we have the same problems, and we are looking at how to solve the problem to live better. It is a good movement to bring humanity together. Why is it important to do that? Because the time of national crisis is over. This is the time of humanity crisis. When something happens, you are all in it. It will be extremely difficult to isolate yourself. Fortunately, unfortunately, COVID-19 illustrates this in a perfect way. In a small town in China, a virus spreads. China has been very good in containing it, but we could not avoid it. Indians are dying by thousands every day now. Americans were dying until the administration changed and started vaccinating people. And you've been following the news. We realize that we have to survive, all of us, we need to be in good health. To survive, all of us need to be good. So we can no longer claim that my country, and I forget about you. Doesn't matter how big my country is. Even if it's self-sufficient, we are not isolated. Now, another thing happens that makes me scared. When I look at the pictures, videos, do you need to translate? I'm okay. Okay? Perfect. Please show something that I know that you hear me. It scares me when I look at COVID-19 happen, how we try to protect ourselves. Look at the videos in China, in other countries. There are tankers with disinfection going through the city, washing the entire city. The sanitizer that we use, how many times per day you use this? As often that you can. Go out, go in. All these sanitizers are chemical, no? Where do they go? It's on the ground. So we are going to have more COVIDs because nature now doesn't have an immune system. Its immune system in last year and a half has been even more damaged. So we reached a tipping point that to survive, we're just gaining time. We are just gaining time. We make it worse. It's like amputation. I'm dying, I have to cut my feet. I have to cut this one. How many parts of your body are going to cut to survive? And what's left of it to survive? So it is fundamental that all of us, we get our actions together and work. Now, it comes down here how we are going to work. I'm looking, when I go to Kazakhstan on a World Bank project, I can advise the government, okay, that's good. You take World Bank money, you want to commercialize, make more money. How about making this on projects that are sustainable? That part I can do, and I do. But is it enough? No. When I'm in my classes, I create programs, degrees, certificates, discussions, courses for students to see, to show, to explain how can we incorporate sustainability in our business management. Companies, how can they be more sustainable? Many questions are, how do we do that? How can we survive if we don't have financial resources? Yes, of course. Finance is running our business. But the first is a change of perspective, that money is a resource, not an objective. Money is a mean to achieve something. It is not the objective. And that's what we have been doing in the last 50, 60 years, focusing on making more money without paying attention to how do we make money. If your business is safe, working, and has a good business model, you will make money. Why damaging? Why creating gender inequality? Why oppressing women? Why doing this? Why destroying workers? Why creating social gaps? Why making people more poor? If they are poor, they don't have money next generation to buy from you. So all of these systems are fundamentally false. We've been working on it, and we've been teaching. I'm from business management. I teach a strategy for my entire life, and I had many businesses. So our methods have been good, very useful. That's why we've been successful. What did we teach them in business management? Be effective and efficient. What does it mean? Effective, reaching objectives. Efficient, making it cheapest possible, fastest possible. I mean, very good. How many rich companies you have? A lot. How many rich people you have? A lot. We're all making money. So our methods are working. It is working. Our theories, our frameworks that we have to analyze, to develop, it is working. The result, you're rich. Now I want to use the same methods to reach objectives to make life better. The methods are not wrong. It's how we use it. So if we change our perspective, we can use all of this in a better way. That's what I'm doing. Now, why fashion? It is the easiest and the best way to reach consumers and change behavior. There is one thing companies changing, but the faster they change when consumers demand it. They follow what you want. They want to serve you because they want your money. But if your decisions are based on sustainability criteria, if your mindset is set in a way that your personal life, your relationship, your work embeds all of these issues, then companies don't have any other options than serving you. It's a market-driven. Now, why fashion? Why recently I focused on fashion? Two reasons. The flip side is of the same coin. On the one side, fashion has always been important in influencing our life. That's why I wore the word fashion not only for dress, in general, what creates a trend? Trend of beauty, trend of better being, trend of better life. These are all trends. It's fashionable. Why do you eat this way? It's fashionable. Why do you walk that way? It's fashionable. So I take the word fashion in a very broad concept. We, at any stage of our life, our appearance is very important. It sends a message. It talks about my identity. It talks about who I am. It talks about how I want to be perceived. The fact that you wear a t-shirt and a shirt, a casual, sitting relaxed, all these manners are messages that we send to others. How do I want to be perceived? That's why fashion is a critical industry to help faster to change this behavior. The flip side, the other side of the coin, is the most damaging industry. It is the industry that destroys water. It's the industry that is polluting more than anything else. It is the industry that is abusing women to make your t-shirts. It is the industry that is using child labor. It is the industry that we cannot control. A manufacturer that has big machines, they cannot move. If they do something wrong, we see the pollution, we go and say, hey, stop that. But how do they do in Bangladesh? Text message, today manufacturer is in this place. All the women with their kids, with their babies, they go in a building that is suitable for 20 employees, 200 go there, and the building collapses. It doesn't take long. It's a sewing machine. So they shift it. At night, they take it to another place. Government, NGOs, they're trying to catch them. It's practically cat and mouse. They run, they hide, they have their production. Only workers, they know by the message where to go an hour before, or they come and pick them up and take them to the place. So it became an industry that at the same time that it has the power to influence our behavior, it is damaging the most. I had some statistics and some information for you here, hopefully just to make the point and make sure that we are all in the same. Look at the top exporters of textile, 2019. Of course, you could guess. Who's on the top of the list? China. Now, can I blame China for selling and making textile not in a sustainable way? Maybe yes, maybe not. It's a country that in 25 years came out of communism, is taking care of its citizens. Without this textile, a lot of workers are out of job. So for China, is prosperity, is putting food on the table of its people. A country that people were hungry 25 years ago. Now they have a middle class, they have the best fast train, airports, more modern than Europe. Kids, your generation are studying, they are very competitive, they've traveled, they open themselves to the rest of the world. So without this, China probably could not take care of its citizens. That's why we need to think about sustainability in a broader concept and working together. It is not just if we should not do it. You should have a solution for the part that people are interested and it's important for them. Top 10 exporters of clothing. Of course, China is again in top. So not only making textile, but also selling. These are the things that makes me scared and makes you think about there are no much solutions. Here we have top challenges. Interviewing industry leaders, what are your problems? Now, this is too small for you to read. What I wanted to make here, illustrate, is that conventional way of making products have the same problems that we are talking about sustainability, but they don't know how to solve it. That's why we need to work companies and educations together to find the solutions. Consumers and industries should work together to find solutions. It's not that they don't want to. A lot of people I talk, they want to do something. They don't know how. I have managers, leaders, they said, okay, why don't you make it with less pollution? You say, I don't know, Mehdi, there are no technologies, there's no education. How can I do with these workers that don't even understand? So it is a collaboration across all disciplines. That's why United Nations, SDGs, bringing all of us together in one problem solving. That's why me, from a business background, when I come and I talk to a fashion industry, I have something to say. What do they give me? By definition, you are in a school of fine arts, correct? If I want to define you, the first thing that comes to my mind is say, I have here a dozen people that by discipline, they are more creative. They have imagination. I give them a piece of textile and say, can you use something different? I'm tired of my ties. Can you create a different tie? She is better off in doing it than me. Because all I can do is go back to the same thing that I know, and I can just technically look at it. But she has the imagination, she takes it, and she will fold it differently, make it differently. What do we need now is to imagine a different life. And that's why the relationship between creativity and practical way of doing is the best match. Your creativity, without my experience of making it happen, will be just the imagination. Will be just one tie, very pretty, that you are wearing, but you cannot make it a business that can spread around. This relationship is necessary for what we are looking in sustainability. creativity, effectiveness, and efficiency. I bring what I know, and this interaction, interdisciplinary discussion is key. Now, I told you I've been, later on, we will have time to chat, I've been doing many things, business management, chair of the business department, creating programs. A few years ago, I started mixing liberal arts students with business management. I opened the classroom, I said, business department is no longer business department. We are open to liberal arts. And I created courses and I asked them to come and attend. And it made my class, my business students and my liberal arts students, more effective, more creative in finding business solutions. What do we need? Business solutions, business models. So when we look at it by your mind and my hands, things are working completely different. I experienced this, and I'm coming from the experience. Now, later on, I will answer some questions that I'm going to ask myself on your behalf. One question will be, why Georgia? Why do you come to Georgia? There are so many places. What takes you to Georgia to do this? Here, fashion and sustainability. If you look at any company, any situation, we have institution-based and production aspects of fashion. This is business as usual. There is nothing special. It's process, raw material, getting in, getting out. We can add technology, science, to make it more sustainable. This part is science and business management. Perfect. I can discuss this with you. How could we apply and change this process, organizational or institutional based in fashion industry, in one classroom? This part is the part that I need you guys. Intangible, elusive aspects. It's the part that is emotion, symbolic, identity. That's the part that you are good at. That's why we have to work together. That's why creativity is key to change, and that's why this industry not only can change its own industry, which is damaging a lot, at the top of the list of damaging, but also can influence others, because when you come up with a new business model, as a consumer, you are not only a consumer of fashion industry, you are consumers of food industry, restaurant industry, or other industries. You are a consumer, period. So once you change, and you understand how to change, your family, and this is organic growth change. And this is much faster than your government coming and say, starting tomorrow, you are not allowed to eat chicken because it's polluting more. Eat fish. Yeah, we have done that. Every country had done through authoritarian system imposing. When we impose, people go do the opposite. They think something's wrong. So from that perspective, we go here. Another question we are asking is more fashion less sustainable? Yes, if we do it conventional way. If every day you come out and say, today t-shirts should be red, tomorrow t-shirts should be yellow. You change that, then what do? You increase my consumption. What do we do with all these t-shirts? How many t-shirts you have in your closet? So what do? We increase the consumption. Now we can also change. If you have a clothes that you have selected or you made by your own hand, how long you will keep it? Forever. You give it even to your kids. It's a souvenir. And you love it every time you wear it. That t-shirt that I bought, I wear, oh no, today I don't feel like it. I never been planning for it for a long time. So it's my attitude, not the t-shirt. It is the attitude of me as a consumer, attitude of the person who's looking at me. If my girlfriend says, you are wearing the same t-shirt, go. Let's find another boy. It doesn't work. If she likes the person who's changing all the time, my appearance, that's it. But if you have a Hermes, you have, I don't know, Ferragamo, you have something, and you wear 3 times, 4 times, and it's still good, and it is good quality, and you like it, then So it's attitude that you are changing. And the attitude part is, so that's why, and another thing is that complex environment. We cannot look at fashion industry as just polluting. It's a very complex industry. It is a complex environment and manifestation of culture, economics, ideology, creative expressions, social process, fundamental human needs, and personal pleasure. It has always been like this. So if we work on all of these aspects, we may have something very good. And we don't need any institution, government, international institution to help us. All we have to do is put our heads together and our hearts to make it happen. Okay? The topics for reflection. These are topics that we can discuss. I appreciate if you make comments. Fashion and systems thinking. What is systems thinking? It's seeing the environment as a system, that pieces are working together, and each piece is important. Industry is important, demand is important, production is important, policies and regulations are important. It is not looking at individual separate entities, it's looking how the system, different components of the society interacting together. And different components of society fundamentally is culture-based. The way you interact with your government is different than the way Armenians doing, the way the French do. Relationship between people and government is culture-based. It's completely different. Americans' relationship with their government doesn't have anything to do with the way French are dealing with their government. Look at Europe. I will have a question for you here. Europe has been many years unified. European Union, they have common policy, common foreign policy, common taxations. A lot of things are deciding and together. But look at the countries, they are different, very different in their way of life, in their relationship with their government, and more than anything, in implementation of sustainability, in their happiness index. If you get a chance, take a look at a Scandinavian country, compare them to their next country, neighbor, Germans. Compare them to French. France is a democratic society, no? We see people in a democratic society decide. But trust me, as soon as they have their president, they want to kill him. Next, fashion and sustainability as an evolving and rational relationship. This is not only emotional, it's a rational relationship. It goes hand in hand. My appearance, my preferences, many things are influenced by fashion. Fashion in post-growing society, mobilizing creativity. After growth, economic growth, you need to have creativity. Fashion, diversity, and equity. These are all part of it. Global polarity view that fashion can bring. If you travel around the world, often you see that teenagers, especially teenagers, they have similar culture. Doesn't matter where they are. They listen to the same music. They wear the same type of t-shirt, the same shoes. So this global influence is a power that you have. Fashion, fluidity, and balance. Integrated understanding of the complexity. These are the parts that we need some educational that comes in it. And ecology. And okay, quickly about some fashion industry by numbers. 2.5 trillion industry. That's how much money is in the industry. It is important for economy. So we cannot go and dismantle it very easily. 20% of industrial water waste. 20% waste in water. And especially in places that they need water. One of the best cotton in the world is Egyptian cotton, no? Cotton uses a lot of water. You know that in Egypt, they don't have enough water to drink? So what do they do with the cotton? It's not that they eat the cotton. They sell it to make money. Who gets the money? Egyptians? Who gets the benefits? Corporations. Egyptian corporations, not necessarily, because that's a raw material. We buy it as cheap as we can. The added value which is coming from other places, those people are gaining. So the business model is completely wrong. 10% of global carbon emission. So the industry is doing a lot of, not only good thing is creating economy, all other bad things are offsetting that. Okay? Let's take a look at degree of sustainability. A conventional way, we look at water, energy, and labor. Especially labor in this industry is very important. And labor is not just labor. The second part of labor is woman issue, because most workers are women. And that is also a gender issue embedded in this. Imagine in developing countries where you need those women to be educated to make their life better and life of next generation better. They work on these sweatshops and they will never have a chance to get education from childhood. And then they get married and they have to do what? Produce the next labor. It's not that they have a baby. They are producing next labors. Because when she cannot work anymore, her babies are working. So this is a machine that has perpetual production of cheap labor. And keeping them uneducated helps. So what we can do, try to break that cycle. Why do I need a t-shirt for $1? And when you look at it, how can it be $1? Those are for any cost that has not been accounted for. If we are aware, if we push the fashion industry that we don't want $1, give me a t-shirt at $100 that I can wear for 1 year, not for 1 day, not for 1 hour. And then they change their business model. They will make it, okay? Then the degree of integration, you go from integrated pest management control, integrated pest management in global, biological, transitional, and organic. Still, you will not have 100% sustainability, but you increase for lower to higher damaging. This is not low sustainability, this is low toxicity. Okay, the same, illustrating different aspects of our life affected by the industry. More of the same. For example, here, water used to produce 1 pair of jeans. How difficult it is to undo your jeans and make another jeans. Not very difficult. But we throw it away. Where does it go? To the landfill. Okay? More statistics. I would like to move very quickly. These are all images from around the world. You do Google search. I got it from Google. It's not something that I've taken. All the landfills of fashion industry, waste from fashion industry. Okay? And it is modern slavery. Everywhere you look at it, from the raw material that the industry is taking, from the labor that is using, it's modern slavery. We have a problem with old-fashioned slavery, but it is interesting that we don't pay attention to modern slavery. It's a disguised way, and we don't do it. Okay, retail value chain, these are getting a little bit to business management in how to manage some value chain and supply chain. And then I have some discussions here for you in terms of how to relate business management to work on this thing. We can take the same 3 pillars that everyone is discussing: people, planet, and profit, find this in balance, and use business methodologies and theories to make this successful. And I also have created some very nice way of how we can train in terms of sustainability mindset. Because once even a small group are convinced and understand it mentally and emotionally how to do it, then we are good. We don't need 10,000 people. Out of this class, if they have one person in the audience that is interested that we can elaborate, talk, and take action and do something, we have done our job. We often look at finding a big solution to solve the problem at once. It doesn't work that way. We've tried that. Focus on what you can do and do what is possible to do. The remaining will follow. And that we get why I'm here. Okay? This is a very nice methodology we have with our friends that working. And recently I have decided to just focus on this work and created this Liberal Alliance network of experts to just go around the world and try to do what we think is necessary and important. From here, I have some strategy and business methodology to discuss if there are any interest to discuss how to adapt and use existing methodologies for sustainability. Now, I think I better stop here. I talk too much. You'll notice that if you let me go, since I'm passionate about the topic, I will never stop. So I think it is better to give the floor to you and see how much you got from my discussion and what questions, what discussions, what comments and experience you have to bring on the table so we can have a group discussion which is more appropriate for this type of topic. Okay? Your turn now. Do you need microphone? Come next to me. You want to speak from there? Speak from there. I can hear you. Please.
When we talk about the impact the fashion industry has on the society, on the planet, it all sounds very depressing. I mean, it feels scary.
This is scary.
And I think what's scaring a lot of people, and me personally, is that if I stop consumption, I won't do a big change. Because these products are being produced, still, they don't care about me consuming it or not. And I don't really believe, and I'm a bit skeptical about this possibility of one individual to change the system. So how could you comment on that?
I look at it from a different perspective. It is a contradiction, absolutely. Now, what is fashion? To make my life better, no? I use all this makeup, cleaning, skin care, clothes. Everything is to feel better, no? To make it better. I don't want to take that away. Cleopatra had to take a milk bath to take care of her skin. We still want to do that. We want to feel better. We want to look better. But that doesn't mean necessarily I can use chemical on my face to make it better. I can use something else. So to keep the industry, I'm not asking to dismantle the industry, to discard the industry. We need the industry. We need to change the industry, to behave differently, to work differently, to produce differently, to not to abuse workers, to not to use child labor. Industry can flourish even better in sustainability. But that starts with me, that I still want to look good. I don't want to look old. I don't want to look ugly. I want to be happy when I see myself in the mirror. I want to see your eyes, that you are not turning your eye the other way, oh, how ugly, or the guy. You are happy to see such a pretty face, such a good face, such a good appearance. It's enchanting. It is, that's how we've been, no? That's how we want to be. The way we dress, the way we do, we think about it. What should I wear today? What should I do? This is not something to discard. and forget about the industry. No, it's to change the industry to behave differently, to produce differently, make me feel good, make me more handsome, make me more beautiful, make me young, make me energetic. But do it humanly. Why you do it evilly? No? There are ways. Now the good thing, the good news is that now, because of science, because of information technology, all of the things that I'm saying is easier done. It is possible. One thing, often in this industry and other industry, we are depending on big corporations because they have the resources to do that. But because of technology, now small companies can compete equally with the big companies. That's another thing in my strategy course I teach. How small companies, small and medium-sized companies, can use technology and compete with big corporations. The time of big corporations is gone. It's over. There was a time that I don't know how familiar you are with vocabularies, a scale economy, it was important. A scale economy is that if you produce more, your cost goes down. Now, I'm not going to enter in discussion. The more you produce, the lower your cost. So instead of making one T-shirt, if I make 100 T-shirts, my cost is lower. Now, I can explain that in another class. That drives the companies to mass production. What do I do with mass production? Instead of 100 T-shirts, now I have 1 million T-shirts. What should I do with this? I should give discount. I should twist your arm, manipulate your mind to buy more T-shirts. Otherwise, what do I do with this? I have to make money, no? So I encourage your consumption because I want to produce mass to increase my profit. Now, this model worked in the past. Now is the time of customization. Individual, I don't need to produce mass. I make a model, I can get you and make a T-shirt special for you. Instead of $1, pay me $100. And I can do that. And it is possible. Now you have the technology that you go in front of your mirror, and it's like your iPhone. How does your iPhone recognize you? It's face recognition. No? It measures all of your body and send it. And it said, what do you need? You selected the pattern, I give you, your shirt is coming tomorrow. It measured very nicely. You just turn around, it scans you, and sends all the measures. It is possible, and a small company can do it. Another thing, I found one of the latest things that I saw in England, scientists developed a way to create textile from plastic. Now, we use plastic to make different things. There are other technologies. But this new one, I find it very interesting because they make textile in different patterns that looks like the textiles that we have now. Now, that is a very important innovation. That innovation is lower scale. Or for example, let's say Georgia, fashion industry. You have many independent designers, okay? So we get them together and we said, okay, let's create an industrial cluster. What is industrial cluster? I'll tell you about it. Industrial cluster, and then collectively, we get one of these machines and we buy plastic. How many kids are going to collect plastics from the street, bring here to make money? You get all the plastics. So we buy our raw material very cheap while you are cleaning the environment. Then we take these plastics, go through the process, making textile, and we ask all designers what type of pattern you want. And we turn this textile to the pattern that they want. It's a collaborative work. Each one take the textile they want, it's done. We collected the environment, and it's less polluted, and it's not only recycling, not reusing, it's remaking, bringing back. Technology and science. Now, what is industrial cluster? Another thing that I give credit to myself is being a global nomad. A global nomad is like someone like me. He goes everywhere, and everywhere he's happy. He doesn't have a home. Everywhere he sees beauty, that's a home. Home is where beauty is. So you stay there. We go. A global nomad like me can bring is a perspective that is more appropriate for the local. Now, a lot of business management educations are coming from by advertising from big schools. And sometimes what they neglect, they don't look at the local economy and industry, and they don't give you examples of your own business to learn from. And this is very bad that we are doing. Because what we do, we separate generations. Let me give you an example. My friend here, what's your name? Ella. She goes to Harvard Business School, or Stanford. She learns business management. The first thing she will learn, industrial cluster is important. Look at Silicon Valley. Industrial cluster means when you bring companies in the same industry in one specific location. They benefit from common infrastructure. The cost is less. They share knowledge, and they learn from each other. We call it industrial cluster. Now, when I talk about that, I say, shame on you. Industrial cluster was not invented in Silicon Valley. Any bazaar in Middle East is industrial cluster, and you don't mention that. And when she comes back, she goes to Tbilisi bazaar. Oh my God, industrial cluster. Dad, mom, industrial cluster. Say, and her grandfather would say, but we've been doing that for generations. We never called it industrial cluster. It's normal for them. It's normal. It's logical. But you dismiss that. You think you have perfect knowledge because your professor over there doesn't say, I'm sorry, I'm stealing the knowledge from your grandparents, and I'm giving you in English language something that looks very fancy. No, industrial cluster is good. It's more sophisticated. Any bazaar, I can walk you there and show you how it works. Any bazaar is more sophisticated than Silicon Valley. It's the same method, the same theory, the same concept, but organic and normal. I'm sure you have heard the word CSR, corporate social responsibility. Huh? Is it new? Here it is. I took my students to Istanbul Bazaar. Okay? Turkish are in negotiation bazaar, special, okay? But I step back and I ask my student, look, these two shops, one, the owner is there, the other one, the owner is gone, maybe drink a tea, or wash your face, or run errands, but they don't close their shop in the middle of the day, they just put a metal or something in front, and their neighbors are watching. So it's safe. First, competition next to each other. They have the same thing, but the neighbor is protecting his asset. Now imagine to do that in a modern world. One corporation says, I'm sorry, I'm taking a nap. Can you watch my company for 1 hour? That trust doesn't exist. Now next, I look at what they have. I saw one item that the shop that is closed has, the other one doesn't have. So when they're, oh, it's a shame that he's closed, we really wanted that. The guy said, no problem, I can sell it for you. He doesn't have it, but he sells for his competitor. He doesn't say, oh, that's an ugly item, come here, I give you something better. You like that, that's what you want. It's my competitor, I sell it for you. That level of trust is cooperation. Now I asked them to go and I identify an old man that was clear that he was in the bazaar for a long time. And I said, let's go and ask him a few questions. And that time they gave us tea. And I said, you've been here for a long time. I said, yes, my father also owned this shop. So it's coming down to the generations. I asked him, I said, there are younger shops here. Are there any of them that have been your workers? They worked for you? He said, yes, 2 of them. I said, how much they make? How much did you pay them to become a competitor? I said, no, their salary is normal. but when they reach an age that they want to get married, I gave them seed money to open his own shop and be able to get married. I said, hold on, you give your employees seed money to open a shop right in front of you and become your competitor? How does it work? Yeah, that's what we do usually in the past. So is that social responsibility or not? It is fundamental social responsibility. And the way they compete, that employee will never lower the price so low that his old boss will go bankrupt. So they compete in a collaborative way. If he doesn't do that, what will happen to that boy? Marriage will be difficult. Poverty will be increasing in the society slowly, one after the other. Society is poor. He cannot sell anything. He is out of business. So it's a fundamentally long-term corporate social responsibility. Now, what do? Corporate social responsibility, make it fancy word. If instead of telling you, go to the bazaar and learn from that old man in Tbilisi bazaar how they relate with the society. You don't learn from him, but you go to Stanford, to Harvard to learn in a different language because it's fancier. And you pay for that. Here it's for free, you don't get it, you pay for that, it has more value and more fancy. And that is, I'm sorry to my colleagues, but I criticize them because they deserve this critique. They know it, but they don't mention it. They know it, they don't mention it. In our classroom, open any textbook of a strategy. There is not one single mention that the bazaars are clustered. Or corporate social responsibility had existed in any Central Asia, and Middle East system, and we now make it a fancy thing. And our CSR is very short term. It's sometimes greenwashing, whitewashing, just appearance. It's not fundamental. So that's why I'm coming back to fashion industry. It's our perspective, our mindset, and our values that are important, not the fancy words that we are getting. All right, thank you for such a short question and long answer.
Actually, while you were talking about, you mentioned Georgian industry, and I think that my colleagues can add to it, but as far as I know, some designers already collaborate in Georgia because they have one production for shoes, and a lot of designers order at one production.
Yeah.
We have several constructors who work for different brands, because good constructor is like jewelry here, like treasure. If you find one, you need to keep it. And
Yeah, you are outsourcing your production.
yes, well, it's not really like outsourced, but
Yeah, it's centralized outsourced.
the lady can be, on Monday she can be at one atelier, on Tuesday she works at the other atelier, on Wednesday another, so it's like exchanging workers.
Yeah, it's the same concept that you do here. All of this, where is my phone? All of these phones, anyway, all of these phones in China are made in the same manufacturer. Different brands. So production is centralized, it's outsourcing to the same. It is a very good way to stimulate the industry and change. But the important thing is that when it's outsourced, you bring sustainability in the process. Waste management, transportation, all of the issues that goes. Recycling. Now, we used to talk about economic recycling, circular economy. Now we are talking about regenerating economy. The new theory in economy is that regenerating. It's not only recycling or circular economy, that no waste, everything goes back, but your movement should regenerate. Now we are learning also a lot from nature to develop these theories. Animals are regenerating value. They live, they are part of the cycle, but they regenerate. We don't regenerate. Human beings are consuming nature. from the time that we step out from the food chain, that nobody is eating us, no animal is eating us anymore, so we became our own enemy. We are eating ourselves. One more thing. I think we discussed this, I mentioned briefly last time. There is one point in our life, not your life is too short, in our life of our 2-3 generations, that we became so detached from all these things. And that's when disposable items enters our life. All these plastic utensils, everything that, and then we became detached from it. Before we could buy plates that we like, that we can use over and over, slowly that changed our attitude to not only these items are disposable, our life is disposable, our friends are disposable, everything is temporary. Let's go, move, fast, reuse. And that is the tipping point for me to changing behavior. We need to do similar things to fix this behavior. And how did disposable items enter our life? It became fashion. It was fashionable. It was so old. If someone will came with his own glass, we'll say, oh my God, come on, we have plastic, just throw it away. Why do you do that? Became fashion. Became norm. So that's why fashion is important in broader concept, to set the trend. If tomorrow the person, the singer, the model, the actor, actress that you like, dresses differently, would that influence you or not? Sure it does. So it takes one person to change thousands of consumers at that stage. That's why it's easier. That's why fashion, at the same time that is damaging, is critical, and that's why, and also is beauty. So instead of being in a manufacturing, I would like to bring my expertise where all beauty is, I'm surrounded by beauty. So that's why I'm focusing on fashion. Next question. Please. It is consumer reaction that can change companies' behavior. Nike, many years ago, was producing its shoes, outsourcing to Chinese. Steel in China is produced. One journalist found out that in the production factory, there are child laborers. He came back and wrote an article and made a big discussion about child labor. Child labor in America is not allowed. Now, imagine Nike products at that time, and still, was sold in Europe, in China, and in America. The only consumers who reacted to this article were American consumers. What did they do? They came out and they said, we are going to boycott your product if you don't stop this. So we need an auditor and NGOs reporting that you stop this, otherwise we don't buy. Market is big enough, Nike said, I cannot afford losing you. So what they did, they went to the family. I said, okay, we give you money, you send the kids to school. When they reach the age, they come and work for us for 5 years. They changed their business model very easily because market forced them to change. Now, how can you change? Very easily. Now, there is a network of younger generations, all these text messages that you have. All of us will become auditor. T-shirts, okay, you are in China, tell me which manufacturer is polluting, child labor. Then which brand is producing there? We don't buy you. Use your mass connection. There are many ways to do that. Create a T-shirt alternative industry that is parallel is gaining momentum, it becomes important. You don't want to be an NGO, advocate, and fight for what they do, that's okay. Because some of us, we have an attitude being more making things, not protesting. Okay, so we collectively create a parallel industry that is sustainable and is working and has its own client. This parallel industry will become the mainstream one day. We show that it works, and then you do it. Consumers, when they see that the same thing can happen, they prefer yours and others. We create awareness, and we create a parallel thing. Some people are political. They have political interests. They want to fight against this injustice. That's okay. I don't have that. Personally, I'm not, it's not my personality to go and nag, and they say, you are wrong, you are wrong. I said, if I know how to do it right, I do it right, and I show that it can happen, and then consumers can decide which one to buy. I create awareness. Two ways to deal with this. You're welcome. You just speak a little bit louder.
We have an interesting case study, electrical designer, and she has a collection of even leather, right?
Would you come here? No? It's a pleasure meeting you.
She wants to share
Sure.
something she's...
Come here.
She want to bring her portfolio.
Okay.
I know the brand. It was recently presented online at the Advanced Fashion Week online platform, and it was a debut collection of the brand.
Very nice.
When I started working on the brand, the ethical and ecological importance of the brand was growing. And I realized that in Georgia it's quite challenging to find the materials for my brand, because we want to follow this sustainability path. And we had big problems with importing materials because of what was happening.
Trade regulations.
So it's very expensive. And I decided to produce my own vegan biodegradable material, like leather.
Wonderful. So you have all the methodologies you put in place, and you are producing your own raw material.
So I'm growing this material myself, and now I'm trying to use something that my country gives me, like, for example, grapes.
Of course.
Grapes
Uh-huh.
for the leather process. This is the process of making this.
You need to show it to the class. This needs to be showcased and presented, for example, internationally, and also presented at the United Nations. This is a very scientific way that you created something. I don't know if you are familiar what she does. Amazing, the production. Probably you know about the project. This is amazing. One of the reasons I'm here or go around is that because of my relationship working with United Nations, the access to these networks, I can present all of this at the international level. For example, when we talk about Georgia, how many people outside Georgia, they know that such a thing exists? Nobody. And how many people or how many small designers in other countries can learn from her? Many. So we have a network at the United Nations, different places, that we showcase this. We award people, small businesses, and there are also fundings. International institutions put money for projects like this to scale up, to develop. This is something, for example, if we take this example, write a very viable business plan and go out and present it, we may end up having a good production from Georgia that can not only help local designers, but the raw material can be replicated in other countries. To avoid shipping, at least it could be licensed. We can license this and sell it in other places and do it. The objective is to generate enough money so we can do our work, but focus on what we are interested in. That's one big problem. I'm coming back to the fashion. Once you are passionate and you change your mind, you will stay focused on what you are good at, which is this creativity. Money will follow. If by any chance, during the process, you suddenly became passionate about money, then you are like all other conventional productions. Your passion should not change. You will stay focused on what you're good at. A finance guy is focused in making money, a banking institution. That's good. He learns how to make more money. But you are focused on making life better. Your objective is not to accumulate wealth, it's to accumulate well-being. Money is facilitator.
That's what we were now talking about when you said about being focused on your creativity. This is the biggest challenge that Nina has, because she needs to focus on her creativity. She's alone, so she also needs to maintain
Absolutely.
to think about production, and it's very challenging, especially for a young
Absolutely.
person who has no expertise, who has no experience, no supporters, to stay creative and also to maintain the work.
That's why if we have, for example, I don't know, we are the School of Fine Arts, if we had a Center for Sustainability that we have training, business management training, business model creation, financial, presenting to the financial institutions, then because she doesn't have time and she doesn't have the skills to write her business model. Even if I ask you to write a business model, probably you don't know where to start. Because your talent is somewhere else. If we have a Center for Sustainability to train, to help, to support, in terms of business management, in terms of getting out, scaling up production, then she will be more successful. Otherwise, in a few years, she will be frustrated because it doesn't go anywhere. It is good, but doesn't go anywhere. You need to be able to scale it up. To scale up, you need a systematic business model that is viable. Viable, that means you are not NGO. You are not continuously coming and say, give me money, I have to buy raw material. Give me money, I have to pay my salary. Give me money, I need to pay my electricity. If I have viable business model, then I'm not wasting my time begging for money. I'm focusing on what I'm good at, making my production. That's why a Center for Sustainability attached to a university has more credibility, does it? And this about all training. She or anyone else would come to that center and say, this is my ID. How can we do it? Then we have a repository of examples. We sit down, we give a business model, we present it, and we help her to do it. That's what is interesting, and it is more exciting to work than in this type of situation, working with corporations. I know their language, I'm more comfortable speaking to them, but for me, it is more exciting and interesting to work there. While I'm here 7 or 8 more days. I'd be more than happy to sit down with you, see your process, and maybe later on do something with it. To learn all your process and see what I can do.
With pleasure, we'd love to.
Pleasure is all mine.
Anybody else who wants to present their project in front? You're welcome. I'm very up to it. I really love when I hear about the projects that are like this one.
There are a lot to discuss. I'm not going to enter in this discussion of just one more aspect, why behavior and mindset is important. You hear that Google is very successful. And that's why I'm telling small companies can be as successful. There is a rule of 70-20-10 in Google that makes them successful, and that is the culture of Google. And that is the part of intangible assets. In any successful company now, the intangible part is more important than tangible part. Tangible parts are equipment, assets, buildings. Intangible are intellectual, knowledge, know-how, and brand, and culture. This culture at Google says that it reports that 50% of new products are coming from this 20%. What is the 20%? Spend on ideas of their own choosing. They let their employees to take their own ideas and exercise and try to make it happen. 50% of innovations are coming from individuals who have ID. Since they let them to do that, 50% of innovation that they get ahead. So who has IDs? Individuals. In this group, who has IDs? Not the institution, you have. So that's the strength of Google. Use it. You have it. These are all, this was the cluster that I told you. This is the Silicon Valley, and I find this one on internet, Tbilisi's old bazaar. It's the same concept. But we prefer in classrooms to show this one. It said, take advantage of industrial cluster, because if we show this, it said, what is this? What can you learn from this? It's the same concept done. All right, I think I'm done. If you have questions, otherwise we can.
Thank you. Like an extended thank you.
Thank you.
Presentation.
Very kind of you. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's not easy to be creative. And learning creativity is a longer process. But there are some courses, educations, training to develop creativity. One thing that recently we tried in terms of creativity, we gave problem to people, to students to a classroom, and we said, fix this. Everybody's trying to fix what is wrong. Only one student took the whole thing, put it aside and said, what do we want to achieve? And he created something new. So we look at the problem from the basis. We say, okay, this machine, it doesn't work. Everybody was trying to fix the machine. He said, why do you need the machine for? And then he said, okay, this is what we use the machine for. This is what we get from it. Okay, so we took that and used something else. He said, this is obsolete. It's not. We are wasting our time to being creative, fixing the same problem. Now, one of the things completely, the cliche of thinking out of box, but completely changing perspective. And that is, for sustainability, very important. And that is what makes most managers stuck, because they try to fix the problem with the same mindset that they created the problem. It's the same mindset that had created the problem cannot fix the problem. You go out of the same methods. You need completely, that's why if a manager works with a creative person together, they have a better chance to completely come up with a new system. We need new socio-economic models. You witnessed, you heard social systems, economic systems being in one extreme or other had collapsed. We just hold it like this. It doesn't work. In none of the societies I'm traveling, poverty has been reduced, gap in society has not been reduced. The gap is getting bigger. The richest country in the world, the gap is very big. It's bigger than anywhere else. So how successful are you in being rich if your citizens are still in poverty? We don't call it success. So they are bankrupt. Our social and economic systems are bankrupt. We need to think differently, and trust me, it comes from you creative people better than from anyone else. But what we can do, once you have the idea, we can put, okay, let's craft it, let's make it work, let's make it functional. That's the part that we are good at. Because I sit down to find solutions, I have business solutions. I was working as a consultant for a big organization, government organization. I had to restructure to make it more efficient, okay? By nature of being around, I have different ideas often. It was very difficult because people were scared they're losing their jobs. Make it more efficient, that means firing a lot of people, no? What did I do? I collect them, I said, okay, how much, I asked the manager, how much does it cost you to fire people? Give me a certain amount. I said, okay, keep that amount aside. I'm going to interview people. And among interview about their skills, because we are looking if your skills is still useful or not. If not useful, get out. If it's useful, we keep you. That was the basic. But I asked another question. I said, okay, now that we have your skills, what was your dream job when you were young? Huh? He said, yeah, when you were young at the beginning of your career, you had a dream job. What would you like to do? If you had the chance, would you do that again? These two questions. So I collected the information, and I identified among these people that we want to fire, a few that are entrepreneurs. I said, I wanted to have my own business. Any type of business? Yeah, any business. A restaurant, print shop, anything. I said, okay, good, that's very good. Yeah. And I came and said, okay, now I have a solution. I said, what's the solution? He said, the money that you have to pay them to fire everybody, that they are going to be out of job. We give this as a seed money. We create 3 or 4 a small company. We give these entrepreneurs to manage it, be independent, with one condition: they have to hire other people as a worker. So the organization became efficient. We reduced the number. We had 3 or 4, and you, I said, as an organization, you sign a contract for 5 years. You buy your printing from them. So for 5 years, they have their base clients. Other people have a job, and entrepreneurs are happy. Now they are owner of their own business. There are solutions. We are, by definition, finding solutions. We survive. We have survived. We go through this, but we need collective collaboration. Other things? I think we talk enough, no?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting. If you're ready to ask more questions, we have a question here.
Uh-huh.
So, I'm sure everybody here who's usually wants to be famous, like designer, fashion designer. And everybody here wants to have their name next to Chanel or Giorgio Armani or etc. So, what makes high fashion a high fashion? It's not money and it's not creativity, because I know a lot of Georgian designers who have creativity but doesn't have money. But if we give money to Georgian designers, will it create a high fashion which will stand next to, I don't know, Chanel or Armani, I don't know, any kind of this big, huge company? So what is it? What is the answer of this? It's not money, it's not creativity. What is it?
No. No, brand recognition and brand development, brand creation. First, let me ask you other questions. When we think about Georgia, what comes to your mind? What are you known for?
Georgia. You're asking about Georgia. Wine.
Wine. And even wine, there is no specific wine. It's a generic wine. There's only the agriculture that comes to your mind. When you talk about America, what comes to your mind? What does it represent? If I say France, what does it represent? Italy.
So everything is connected to food.
So there is a national identity that comes. America lost its national identity years ago for other reasons. That's another discussion. It was a government strategy. They lost that national identity. That there was a time that American products were solid, was working, was good, comfortable, best car in the world, but we don't have that anymore. Nobody's talking about buying American car. Who is going to buy American car? Even Americans cannot buy it. We don't trust that anymore. So it's a national identity. Another thing is that for companies to bypass this risk of national identity, there is an advantage, there is disadvantage. When we took China, any product from China, for you it comes cheap, not functional, disposable. But most of these are made in China, actually. These are all, but China is not recognized. It's trying to change that image. It's moving to upper scale product and levels. Now, for that reason, big brands are creating a brand that doesn't have national identity. It's a global brand. Apple, you know is American, but Apple by itself doesn't have any connotation about America. It's just the word is in English. It could be in anything. Okay? So brand creation and creating a brand that is global is one factor. Then again, is the fashion. How do you make it a trend? Also, the decision of being big or being small is a strategic decision for any company. Big goes with the risk of all other complexity of management. It's not necessarily better when you go to big. Big is larger scale, complexity of management, more expensive. It doesn't lead to more profit or more better. So there is an optimal level of the size that you need to decide. If I had a brand here, if the two of us come up with a brand, I would probably go with mid-size, unique brand, targeted and niche market, niche clients. I would not go, first of all, when you go head-to-head with big brands, you waste your energy in competing with them. I don't want to waste my energy in competing. I want to invest my energy in creating. From that perspective, I go in niche market, mid-size, but well-defined. And that is where you have the fashion industry, you have all these models, you have all these people that they can create the trend and create a network. Many experts know how to create those things. But I would not go for big, like, for example, I don't see any benefit from a Georgian designer to become the next Chanel. The cost of competition is higher than the benefit of going one level below and be a niche market, specialized, very customized in that. But I need to know more. I need to study more. I need to work better, because the more you understand the industry, how designers are working, the better. I'm trying to get in contact. This time more than before. I've been here several times, but this time I focus in getting to know, because I think for unknown reason, my heart is in here. So I've been driven. For what reason, I don't know. Something is calling me to Tbilisi. We will find out. Of course, something will come up. So there is something that made me interested. I didn't know about. I met one designer a few years ago by accident. I liked his work on social media. I was following him, and then I knocked at his door and said, I want to see your atelier. He said, who are you? And he said, I'm just a tourist. Let me see. And then I follow. Now I know more people, and I contact. Yes, go. From the knowledge that I have now, I would not go that big. The cost of competition is much higher for you than the benefit of it. But absolutely. Other comments, suggestions? Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Hopefully it was useful. And I hope that I can meet each one of you again and learn from your work and be useful to you. Thank you.